Hi, it's Amanda from LHL Organizing, and today we're doing episode, I believe, 8? Let's go with 8, on going extreme minimalist. So today we're going to do lawn equipment. I can't record out there because of all the street traffic, you just wouldn't be able to hear me. So I have B-roll, we'll talk about it, and then also I have a few things that I keep in the house and I have those with me to discuss. I have a corner lot on a major street, and clearing the snow is a very important deal and it's my responsibility. I'm up in Nebraska and we do get a lot of snow. So there have been several times where I cleared the snow before I went to bed. The snow plows work all night long. They fill my sidewalk back up, and then it looks like I did nothing because it kept snowing all night long and they kept pushing the snow up on the sidewalk. And then unfortunately with the chemicals that they have in there, that snow melts and solidifies and like refreezes, and it's nasty to get out. So I almost can't move that street layer because the sidewalk is right up to the street. And the best I can do is get a backside cleared, and they've never fined me if I can get a walkway cleared in there. So I do own some stuff for snow removal. I don't think that I really, when I moved to Nebraska, I moved from southern Kansas, and it's easy to think that the states are very close together. The weather surely isn't very different. In actuality, the snow is very different. So there's actually powder here, which I had never experienced in my entire life. Kansas snow is, even in the North Kansas area, pretty dang wet. So in Wichita, Kansas area especially, it is a slush. You're driving through like ice water all the time. And how you handle it driving is different, as well as how you would remove it, because removing water, slushy water, is not something you have as much control over. Moving powder is beautiful. So if only I didn't have to fight the snowplows and all those chemicals that they use, then I would have a brilliant time shoveling snow. I probably wouldn't even mind it at all. Even when it's deep, it's much lighter. So we have some snow removal because we have all seasons here. I have to take care of my lawn. I don't outsource any of that. And I have a lot of sidewalk, we'll say that. But I have a brick patio thing out between my kitchen and my garage, and some rock paths through the lawn. But for the most part, I have this rocky lawn out here that I reseeded this year, and then I have it's actually like a ground cover kind of plant that's designed to grow low under trees in the front section, and then this well-established grass in the middle. It's kind of a patchwork thing, but because of that, I don't usually have to do a whole lot of maintenance on this main section. I just have to keep mowing it regularly, and sometimes I don't even have to mow under the tree at all. And then this stuff I have to mow all the time because it's almost all weeds. So this year, I was gonna keep this one short, I swear. This year, I decided to overseed this lawn that is rock and also touches the lawn that's well established. But for some reason, and it's probably my fault, I killed off everything. I think 2 years ago, I round up the whole length of it all the way to the sidewalk. I think I did. If not, I killed the majority of it. And then I didn't rip the dead plants out. I didn't plant anything else there. I didn't prepare it at all for receiving anything else. And so all it got was more weeds from cars, from the park next door. The wind often blows this direction, and so I get everything from the park. And so tons of different weeds showed up afterwards. And so this year I decided to do a weed killer that doesn't kill the grass, and then overseed. And so that's what I've been doing this season, is overseeding. But I didn't have any of the stuff necessary to do the job, really, except a hose. My sister had given me a hose and a nozzle that you could hand spray with. And I really appreciate those because I didn't have to buy them then. The hose is definitely long enough. I think it's gotta be like a 35 foot. I guess it could be 25, but I think it's got enough extra room that it has to be 30 something. But anyway, I borrowed those. Well, they were gifted to me. They were extras that she had, and so I took those in. And then I got a gift. I asked for a gift for Christmas. That was an edger attachment for Ecosystem. So my brother-in-law convinced me to buy Ecosystems, and so it's worked pretty well for me. Except I made the mistake of buying this carbon fiber pole weed whacker that isn't compatible. It isn't separatable. So there was a different model, I think, that I could have separated, and I didn't end up buying the right model. So I have an attachment that doesn't work with my implement. So I'm going to be selling that, and hopefully I can get close to what it's worth. It was a gift to me, but I could really use the money, and especially if I do need to get an edger, it will cost more than what that attachment cost. So that's unfortunate, but I did that. My bad. You got to do your research before you put stuff on your Christmas wish list, all right? Because other people can't. How could they? So I found out this season that that doesn't work. It's not compatible. I've had it since last Christmas, and I just tried it out. And no, okay, so now I feel foolish and I gotta get rid of it. But whatever, it is what it is. I borrowed an edger from my mom. It's not in my collection right now. She had a manual edger, and it turns out that we also brought my sister and brother-in-law's edger attachment Ecosystem too, to try to use it. The blade was in bad shape, but it really had a hard time because we were trying to cut often close to 3 inches of dirt that had been kind of sliding over the sidewalk to try to get that fresh sidewalk line again. So I have learned I can borrow, and the manual edger and a flathead shovel were the thing. So I still have the flathead shovel. It's borrowed, just so everybody knows. It'll go back to my mom. And she took her edger back, but we reestablished all the lines for the main sidewalks and up my stairs. I don't think we did the sidewalk, but that's okay. So we did all the main sidewalks, reestablished the line, tried to help the neighbor's property out too, but they've got a dead bush there that the edger couldn't get close enough to the concrete. The bush was right up to it. So anyway, we did as much as we could. And then I had already previously used the weed whacker to establish the lines where there wasn't much dirt depth. And I attempted to get in under the dirt. Turns out I can cut under the dirt pretty good, but I had a hard time doing into, even, you know, switching its direction and everything. It still wasn't able to get through 3 inches of dirt. It was just sloppy, basically, right? So it's kind of cutting in, but it's flying it everywhere, and it's not making a nice crisp line. So with a little research, we've discovered that I can use the weed whacker to maintain the line. And so I should be able to only reestablish with an edger every once in a while. That should be something I can borrow moving forward. And we'll test that out next year. I'm not gonna replace the edger. I'm gonna try to sell it, but I'm not gonna replace it until I've tried out maintaining it with the weed whacker. So I learned how to edge with a weed whacker. And got pretty decently good at it. It just couldn't go through the 3 inches. It got too sloppy and dusty and made a mess. So yeah, that's the plan there. So we're ditching an edger. So when it comes to implements for the lawn, I have I don't really know how to distinguish, a leaf rake and a regular rake. And I have a short shovel that I have never used, and it's uncomfortable, and turns out I need a flathead shovel really for my property. So I'll be getting rid of that short shovel as well. And then I have this Fiskars extend-a-pole cutter thing, and it is wonderful. So you can cut from the very bottom, and you can cut from midway. And I use this to trim branches of trees back from roofs and things like that, and it works really well. So you can get quite a ways up there without even using a ladder. And it trims anything up to kind of 1.5 inches. It takes a lot more work, and like if you can manipulate it in space, then you can maybe get a little bit thicker branch, but it's about the 1.25, 1.5 is really tops on that. But it really helps with cleaning up like new branches that are growing over your roof. So I really appreciate that tool. It's worked out very well for me. So I'm definitely keeping that Fiskars Extendable. I know my Buy Nothing group locally says that you can lend things out, but I don't see a lot of people requesting borrowing lawn things. I think we kind of have this bad culture in the US where is it Judge Judy maybe that like started it, because all of these neighbors taking each other to court over something that happened to a borrowed lawn implement, or like in TV we've made it that the neighbor killed the neighbor because they didn't return their axe or whatever it was. So I don't know if that's what it is, but there is a little resistance to just loaning out lawn equipment. And then something else to think about is like if you're using it constantly, you can't really loan it out, right? And the days that we all need to snowblow are the same day. So for instance, I could have more batteries perhaps charged, ready to go, and when I'm done with my Ego snowblower, I could lend it to somebody and they could pop a new battery in and go. But I basically burn out all of my batteries just to do my own property, and sometimes I can't even finish my own property in one charge. So, you know, there's some limitations to those moments where we all need the same things at the same time. So that's something to also take into consideration, but we can definitely do things to help each other out. I have a metal scoop, snow scoop, and it turns out that was really, it's a little better for like breaking ice and stuff, and that's less of a problem here really. The snow often falls in such a way that it's more of a powder and it doesn't really create a huge slick of ice underneath. And I resolved some of that issue on my property by burying some downspouts too, so I don't get ice slicks anymore, thankfully. So that shovel is really not the right tool for me. Sometimes it is closer to what you need, but it often can't do the job. So I really need more of the bulk snow removal scoop, the one that has sidewalls, right? So I'm gonna look into replacing that one too and see what really is the best combo, especially when I'm trying to fight the snowblower. I don't know if there's a great, not the snowblower, when I'm trying to fight the, what are they called? I was saying this like 600 times earlier. When I'm trying to fight the snowplows, the city snowplows, I need better tools for that. And that's unique to my property because I am on the snow route. Like literally they store the snowplows not even a block away, basically. So yeah, my street gets hit a lot all night long. So anyway, that's the snow situation. And the trimmers, I have this little one, which I've been using to trim the same kind of size of branches, but ones that are in my reach down low. Because that Fiskar pole is so long, it doesn't really handle, it's not optimal. It has some trouble closing the spring and not twisting the blades when it's in a non-vertical position. So I have this one here, and it can do slightly bigger branches. It just takes a little more work. I also have a saw, and I have used that saw. I think I need to use it a few more times, and then I can probably get rid of it because I have one tree that's officially mine, and it's not like that's the kind of saw you would use to cut down a full tree. I have 0 bushes right now, so maybe in the future I would wish I had it again, but I have no bushes. So the only thing I've been using it for is cutting down adolescent trees that I let grow too long. So if I just catch them sooner, then that's not an issue I'd have to resolve. Right now there's stumps everywhere though of trees that I have killed that I haven't done away with their stumps. I just kind of left them there in case they tried to grow back. But they are officially dead, and so I could trim them down further and try to dig up the stump and then pass all that off. So probably I will go ahead and get rid of that saw too after I'm done with the tree removal. So I'm trying to do this from memory. I'm definitely keeping the handheld fiskars. Those are very helpful. And then the pole fiskars, love those. And my lawnmower is an Ego lawnmower. I love it because it fits up vertically against the wall. And I can use the big battery and the smaller battery on it, which with the smaller battery, I can usually finish off whatever I might have missed with the big one. It is enough charge to do my whole lawn, and it works really well for me. I love the reduced noise on it. It lets me pay attention, especially because I have to mow right next to the street. It helps me be able to hear the traffic and all of that. So I do really appreciate that. It's a great fit for me. The weed whacker, also phenomenal. I do have trouble with allergies from the lawn, and so I have to be a little bit careful that I take extra medicines and try to reduce the spray from using the weed whacker, but it did a great job edging. It turns out, I didn't know this before, but it can completely clear that brick patio. And I think I'd seen somebody do that on one of these YouTube videos where people do other people's lawns for free. So it's like lawn contractors do these as free, help somebody out in need. And I used to watch several of those videos, and I should have known that you could clear the brick with the weed whacker, but I never thought to do it. So I just reestablished my patio this season while trying to lay the new seed out. So got all the walking stones cleared, and then I got the brick cleared. So the weed whacker is definitely a keeper. I wish it could work as the edger, but you know, it is what it is. So it's not the power head separated one, it's the combined power head weed whacker that can't be, it looks like it can be separated, and technically it separates just to fold to get packed in a box. So dirty trick, it's not the right kind, so watch out for that. But I love those are great base implements. And then you could definitely share a lawnmower, I think, because not everybody has to mow their grass at exactly the same time, but I don't know anybody that does, actually. And my family, I would totally not mind doing that with, but they live in another state, so I don't have that option here. And I don't know my neighbors well enough to know, and they change a lot. I think maybe the ones over here bought the house, but the ones to the south, it's a rental all the time. Most of the houses in this neighborhood are rentals. So you don't know your neighbor for very long. So I don't trade out. I think it'd be a great thing to do if people could get a little more trustworthy and trusting both ways, right? But for now, I'll be keeping that, and I'll definitely be keeping the snowblower. I think the snowblower is maybe a little underpowered compared to a gas one, but it was fairly expensive, and it does do the job. I actually kind of have to do it in layers. So I'll prop it up on its wheels and do like it's weird. It rides along kind of like up here. So you have like maybe 4 to 6 inches of snow underneath of it, and it'll ride up and shoot off that first layer, and then you have to come back down and now get that bottom layer and then do the same thing, and like 4 feet at a time. It's kind of ridiculous, but that's how I have to handle what the snow plows did. So that snow, it's really rocky, it's really hard, it wants to shoot it everywhere, and I'm afraid a gas-powered one would shoot it too far, whereas this electric one kind of just like right out the other side. Which is not ideal, but it does work to let me like shuffle the snow over and get it off of that sidewalk and onto the edge of my lawn. Unfortunately, that's probably why my lawn keeps sliding off, right? But what are you gonna do? Okay, so yeah, what else do I have? I have some chemicals. So I have 2 different Roundups. One doesn't actually have the deadly Roundup in it. I forget what the chemical name actually is, but the one that kills everything, I don't have that one. I mean, I have one that doesn't have that in it, and then I have one that does have it in it. And I bought them before knowing you could actually kill your lawn with kind of basic household stuff. Should have been obvious. I don't know if you should do it. I don't know if you should use Roundup, but that's what I have. I already bought them. I'm going to keep using them until I can kind of reestablish the lawn. I expect it to take a few more seasons to sort of fight back these weeds that are trying to invade, but hopefully I can get that accomplished in a few more seasons and then not have to do a whole lot of this chemical treatment stuff, and then I'd probably just donate the rest so somebody else could use it. And I have weed and feed, which you just use quarterly, essentially. Probably just like three of the quarters, right? Spring, summer, fall. But you'll use the whole bag eventually, so you just hang on to it between seasons. I also have rock salt and kitty litter. And so my elderly neighbor advised using a rock salt kitty litter combo on this main street sidewalk to help people stabilize and also still melt some of it away without being quite as harsh on the concrete. So I have some of that too, and I try not to use the rock salt if possible, but sometimes I'll scrape snow remove and then lay rock salt on, only if we're really expecting rain with snow. So that gets to be kind of a mess where it rains during the day. It's like right at the line of rain and snow, and then it freezes at night. So if I can put that rock salt down before the night freeze, usually people can walk on it safely. So that's why I have all that. It's really a lot. I don't know how to go minimal, like extreme minimal on it, except to use a barter system, a borrowing system. Shouldn't say barter, right? But unless you can borrow from people, it doesn't really work out well. And then a lot of the stuff, it's like, you know, the salt I'm going to use, you could share a pack and then there might be less volume at any given time, but ultimately you still have it. And somebody has to store it. So I also have rakes, and I have a leaf rake and I have a metal rake, and I've used them both. I kind of feel like if I had to get rid of one, I would keep the leaf rake, because the metal rake helps me do what's in the window wells a lot better. But they're technically both capable of doing it. I can do it, it's just a little more frustrating with the leaf rake. So maybe I will get rid of the other rake too. Something to consider. And then I found these pots in my garage as well. And this is kind of more with like the house plant, but sort of hybrid. They're outside planters, right? And inside the outside planter, literally November 1st is when I filmed it, I discovered a cauldron pot that would have been perfect for this season. If anybody wanted to make an arrangement, I totally would have given it to them. But I had no idea I had it. It was just lost in this other one. So I have no need for that big pot anymore. There used to be a tree in it and the tree died. It froze accidentally. I left it outside over a freeze, I think, and it just died pretty rapidly after that. And so nothing's been in it since then. I haven't needed it since then. I have considered getting a bigger pot, a deeper pot for my snake plant, which I still need to repot from the other video we did on houseplants. So feel free to check that one out. But I don't think I want that wide of a pot, because I still want to be able to put it in my basket. So I'm still looking for a solution there. I'll probably just repot it in the same pot for now. See if I can get it deeper maybe. But so that one's gonna go. It had a roller because it was really heavy when it's full, and so that would go with it. And also my sister wants all of my hanging pots. So I had this stack of 6 hanging pots, and they hang on each other so that they can be kind of staggered down. And also you have to kind of zip tie them to something, so there's nothing to really anchor them to anything, a railing or whatever. But that's what it's designed for, is to hang over a railing. And I had wanted to do a vegetable garden, but I keep traveling in the summer and everything dies when I travel. So I am choosing not to use them anymore. And I think probably I could get some back if I wanted to later. So I'm going to donate those to my sister as well. And see, there's quite a few kitchen things that are going to her too. So we'll add that to the list. And the stool that the homeowner left behind, I'm going to go ahead and get rid of too, because I've never seen a need for it. Standing on it seems really wobbly. I have a ladder out there, so I just don't know why I would need it. And I also have this red, is it gone? I might have got rid of it. See guys, I can't remember. I filmed that and it didn't stand out to me, but I used to have a growing red metal thing that a plant could grow on, and definitely getting rid of that if it's out there because I don't use it. But I have a shepherd's hook that I do use, so I would ideally rather trade it, and I'll reach out to my group and see if I can trade with somebody, but I want a single shepherd's hook instead of the triple, because my wind vane is what I usually hang on that. Not the wind vane, the wind chimes. I hang on that, but it's low enough that it hits the lower one a little bit, and then sometimes can get kind of wrapped up on that lower one. So I'd rather have a single. So I'm gonna see if I can do a trade on that one, but that's not getting rid of stuff. So this is kind of an epic fail in that department. This is another thing I wanted to go over. I, quite a long time ago, got some hand tools for gardening. I don't know if this was ambitious, me thinking I was gonna actually plant flowers and stuff, because I don't think I have intended to do that for a while yet. My house, so this neighborhood got hit really bad with hail that was, I think they said softball size that year, and so this would be a couple years before I bought my house, and they had replaced the roof shortly before I bought the house. And I think at that time, or maybe when the High Line went up, they ripped out all of the plants around the house. So I have no bushes around my house at all. I just have an ash tree out front, and it used to have like cedars on the side here blocking some of the street noise. But they ripped those out for the High Line. So there's regulations as to what you can plant under the High Line. And then there's also regulations, because I have that corner, as to how close to the corner I can plant things too that are tall. So I haven't opted to replant anything yet, but I did buy this whole set of tools, and they're not like I expect. Like what the heck is going on here? I've never seen a tool quite like that. So I'm not sure. I was really looking for like this type of tool. My mom suggested just using a screwdriver to clear the weeds out of the bricks. She recommended using an old screwdriver, and I've just bought this tool set, I think just for that purpose. But now that I know that the weed whacker can pretty much take care of that really very easily, way easier than a screwdriver, I think I'm just gonna go with that. And then that would make all of these tools superfluous. This one has a little measurement thingy, so it's clearly for planting plants down. It's a neat set, but it's a cheap one. I think it would be pretty easy to replace hand tools. Sorry for the noise. Let me set them down. I think it'd be pretty cheap to replace those tools if I needed to later. It came with these gloves, I think. So a little scraper glove and a regular glove. And I don't think I've ever worn these. I think I forgot it even came with them. So you get little claws. I've never used these. If anybody else has, let me know what you think. But considering I don't have a garden and I have a tool to help me do potted plants, and honestly this is kind of big and clunky for a potted plant, I think I'm gonna let this one go. I have another pair of gardening gloves that I use and remember I have and keep, so I'm gonna let these go too. And then it has a little spray bottle, which I think is empty. I honestly don't know if that's supposed to contain fertilizer and then you spray on your garden and move on, but it doesn't mean much to me. And this one I think came with this set of nippers, so I know that Fiskars is a better brand than whatever the heck this is, because it's not even labeled. And I don't need two, right? There's really no point, and I should be able to sharpen the one I have. It also apparently came with gardening stakes. And like I said, no garden. I really don't even have a place that I could put like a vegetable garden or something, so I don't know why you don't need to label flowers, right? So yeah, I think that's it. So the whole bag, the whole kit, I'm gonna go ahead and get rid of. It has this little like protector thingy for, I think, is it for that one? No. No, it had to have been for that one then. Kind of. I guess it's for that one. And according to that, you know, just which ones have dirt on them, I've used 2 of them, and I don't think they worked well, so that's a pretty obvious no. So altogether, we're getting rid of the flathead shovel's not mine, I'm borrowing it, right? But I might replace it, get one for myself. We're gonna get rid of the little shovel. Should we count that as one? The little shovel, we're gonna get rid of this whole set of gardening tools, the stool, the whole stack of hanging pots, the big pot and its roller, which would be 6, I guess. And then there was another one, right? The rake and the saw and the edger. So what else do we have? That's 9 so far. For those of you, no sign language, that's 9. It seems like there was more in that pile. I already counted the stool. Oh, and a broom. I had 2 push brooms, which is ridiculous. I don't need 2 push brooms. I had a regular broom and 2 push brooms out there, so we're gonna get rid of a push broom. And there's one other long thing, I think. What was it? See, I don't even have the footage in front of me, so I don't know. But yeah, this is the total list of the things that we're gonna get rid of outside. And then this is everything from that I keep inside that's going away. And that's it for this minimalist video. I think continuing to explore and establish relationships where you can lend and borrow stuff is the best solution to go extreme when you own a home and you have to take care of the property. Or if you're wealthy enough, you can outsource that whole mess to somebody else, which is of course a luxury that not everybody has. But you could outsource your snow removal, you could outsource your lawn care. All of that could be outsourced, but I don't even know what the price would be for that. And honestly, it scared me enough that I haven't even looked. But that is totally one of the things that I would do for a lifestyle upgrade, is just outsource lawn care and snow removal. Like those 2 things would be, life would be great. So that's a goal for the future. But when you have to be able to do it all yourself, then you do need some tools. And like I said, I can reduce down to 1 leaf rake. I can have the flathead shovel for removing. It would actually maybe even work as the snow shovel. It would probably be a little hard on the concrete, but that's an interesting idea. If you get one with good sides, maybe that's the better tool for your snow shovel too, and combine those 2. So I'll look see if there's something there to just reduce down even further. Then the edger, I'm gonna try to do without. I'm gonna try to just borrow that when I need it and sell off the one I have. And then we'll just use the weed whacker to maintain the line with. And we're gonna use the weed whacker to do the weed removal between the bricks as well. And then we have the lawnmower and the snowblower that we're gonna keep. So I think that's, you know, it's a lot of stuff. It is. There's 2 batteries with all of that, 2 different sizes, and I only have 1 of each at any given time, even though the snowblower has compartments for both batteries, and I think maybe it needs one in both places before it'll run. But I use the 2 sizes together to operate the snowblower. And then I have 1 charger. So I got rid of the excess chargers and I used the 1 charger for the 2 batteries. And pretty much when I'm done mowing, I stick it on the charger again. And if I know I'm gonna mow the next day, I go ahead and stick it on there too and fill it back up to the top. Maybe that's not the best technique, but I really do need almost all the charge to do it. So, and I also sometimes mow my lawn in sections, so don't judge me. But the ground cover under the tree doesn't grow very fast, and so I can sometimes skip like 4 mowings on that section. And the one by the street, sometimes traffic just will not let me mow it. It has my water shut off in that lawn. It's just a little strip lawn. It has the water shut off, it has my mailbox, it has a tree, and it has a phone pole or a light pole, one or the other. All of that is in that little strip of the lawn, and I have to weave in and out of traffic to do it. And so I'm always trying, when I'm doing that very edge, to be facing into traffic so that we can negotiate who's doing what. But people are not terribly respectful of people trying to do their lawn work on that street. And so, especially because I'm in the turn lane, I am on the corner, right? They can't give me a lot of berth. They can just watch for negotiating. So sometimes I just straight up can't do it because the time I have available is the busy traffic time, and so I just skip it sometimes and try to catch it later, which sometimes doesn't work. So there'll be times where that's all I'm mowing. There's times that that's the only thing I didn't mow. And then there's times where I'm just doing this long section, and I even leave the beside the house part tall. I'm just crazy with my lawn. I do weird things all the time. So, yeah. But as far as the sprinkler goes that I'm borrowing, I think I can continue to borrow it for a while. It does belong to somebody else. And I have bought a water timer. So I already had a light timer that I haven't been able to use on this house because it has no external electricity. I use it inside, but I can't use it outside. And now I have bought a water timer, and I had to because the people that I've been borrowing other lawn stuff from were all overseeding this year. So we all needed our timers, and we're all gonna need them next year too because the grass is new, right? So you gotta keep watering a little extra with new grass. So I will probably keep borrowing that sprinkler because it doesn't work as well, I think, for the other people, and it does work well for me. The lawn hose was given to me, so I'm gonna keep using that. And the timer I had to acquire, unfortunately. So yes, you could do it manually, but it's just really hard to get a consistent coverage with a hand sprayer. And I could always set a timer inside and do it, but this let me put it on a timer for when I was gone too. This is a high season for traveling, and so I knew I needed a timer to help me out. I looked at doing a smart home timer, and it was more than double the cost of this one. And so I opted to go for the cheaper one. So I think the only thing it really, because I can't remove it remotely. If I'm gone and it's gonna freeze, I can't remove it. So it doesn't solve that problem. The only thing it solves is letting me, like it had an auto detect to automatically not water if it rained, as opposed to me manually having to tell it to skip. And then I could change its schedule remotely. Whereas this one, and I think I could literally pick the times at any interval I want. This one automatically, it's like every 6 hours or whatever, every 12 hours, every 24 hours. Like you only have those choices, and then you can tell it what time to start. So I just went on the cheap. I bought the seed and used a little bit from my mother. I can't hit that microphone, sorry. I bought the seed and I used a little bit extra that my mom had, and then weed and feed that I had already bought that I still had. And my sister lent me her spreader, and we used that, and then we sent all that back with them. So they brought me the manual edger that we used, and they helped me with that, and the flathead shovel, which I still have, the sprinkler, which I still have, and I'm missing one. Oh, the Ego edger that we tried to use, and it didn't really work out well. I think that's it that we used. And then I already had that weed killer that I had targeted before we spread all the new seed, and then now have that setup going. Is this super boring? I think it's super boring, but the troubles of home ownership is all of this other stuff that you end up having to solve the problem for. So yeah, we would love to outsource this, and then you don't have to own anything, and you also don't have to worry about it. But that is a luxury that most people can't afford. Moving forward, I would love to work to that stage where I could just outsource it all. That would be great. And that's one of the great things about renting too, or not having a lawn. And I actually picked a property that's next to a park so that I could enjoy all of that beautiful, expensive lawn without actually having to maintain all of that beautiful, expensive lawn. So I do still have lawn I have to maintain, and I mostly can't use it, which is the sad part, because it's sloped and it's not, I can't close it in with a fence, and it's, yeah, it's loud, noisy. It's just, it's not a good thing. So it's just there to be pretty, basically. That's all it does. But I still have to maintain it. So that's where we are on lawn stuff. And I wish that I could figure out a super affordable way of not having to own as much stuff, but without really having strong relationships with people very close to you on all of the tools that you don't need at exactly the same time. Like the edger is a perfect example, right? We're not all gonna edge at the same time. We could certainly offset a week. You don't need to edge every time you mow. So yeah, if that's the case, these are things that we could trade and share. And I think that's the benefit of relationships, and we should all be working towards that. That's where I am today, and I'm sorry if this was a disappointment. I thought it was an interesting topic to cover regardless, even if I can't go minimalist in it, I go extreme minimalist in it. Because if that's a value of yours to eliminate this category, there are ways to do it. You have to plan for it, right? You have to make your life do that for you, not just on a whim you can make it happen. So there are certain things I need, and basically for me, it's maintain the lawn, maintain the sidewalks. And that's what I absolutely have to do. I wouldn't really even have to rake the leaves. I could mulch them. Anyway, I hope this was informative for you and gave you some ideas. Maybe we can all get a little bit better at sharing instead of having to buy absolutely everything. Like, I think it's totally great that my sister and my mother live 2 houses away, and they could completely exchange things. And we always had put into place this idea of that we would, as a team, each help each other do these seasonal things. But this year we kind of screwed up, and my season actually was earlier than theirs because I'm further north, right? So I got cold sooner. So the fall stuff I need to start and then work down, but then a lot of times the stuff is with them. And then in the summer, they would start first and then it would end with me. But it's like, okay, how do we keep the stuff in the right place that it helps the right person at the right time? And that distance is making it a lot harder. So if you could get your local families and friends groups to trade things, that would be the best solution. And I highly recommend you do that if you can. And maybe just start with one thing, like, hey, would you let me borrow XYZ for this purpose? I'll have it back to you on Monday or whatever. Yeah, borrowing would solve a lot of our problems here. And it's really a great thing to do, but it is risky to some degree. So, especially when you're putting a lot of money into your tools. Most of mine are not that way though, so I'm gonna try to borrow some more, see what we can do. And I'll be kind of swapping stuff because I did gain some stuff for trying to take care of the grass, and so for a while I'll have some extra. And then maybe if we get established I don't have to do that anymore, we'll see. But for now, I hope you got an idea out of this and feel inspired maybe to reach out to friends and family and work out a trade deal. Or maybe you have a wonderful implement that they could borrow and they have something that you could borrow. You know, you never know unless you ask, right? All right. I hope you enjoyed this, and feel free to leave any comments if you think I maybe overlooked something that I could use for something else. I'd love to hear it. Anything that you found that wasn't necessary in your own home tools would be great too. We're gonna do household tools in a different video, so this was just lawn implements. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Thanks.